Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Got a video I think you're going to find real interesting this morning. I'm going to call it the Hailey Dunn murder tapes. And so many people have been documented telling me stories about what happened to Hailey Dunn and different people, different stories backed up with, pieces of evidence. I'm 100%, I've been convinced for a long time they're telling the truth that she's killed over in Odessa by them gang members. And so here, I'm just going to go over this Facebook post I just made today, and I'm going to show you this evidence. And I think you're going to be convinced too. I mean, it's real easy to see when you got multiple people saying the same thing. Okay. Got a short read here for you. This won't be a long video. It says the first person to tell me that the murder of Hailey Dunn was recorded was Brandi Dunn, and she went on to say that Hailey's murder was connected to the murder of Cody Mercer, and his murder had been filmed too. She said the cops had the recordings. Hailey Dunn was reported missing from Colorado City, Texas on December 27, 2010, and her remains were found on March 16, 2013. On March 14, 2013, 2 days earlier, I'd wrote the DOJ and suggested they send somebody to look in the underground homes in Midland, and 2 days later, her remains were found. It's like, poof, there she is, all it took to find Hailey was me suggesting they look in the underground homes here. You notice that? Cody Wayne Mercer, 31 years old, was found dead on November 1st, 2011 by a passing motorist on the side of the Farm to Market Road, 554 near Gardendale, Texas, in Ector County, wearing very little clothing. According to the autopsy report, the cause of death was determined to be methamphetamine intoxication. Allison Frazier had told me that Cody was killed because the gang members were worried that he was going to snitch about who killed Hailey. She also told me that she saw the video of Cody's murder and described his death to me in graphic detail as he was raped before he died. I mentioned these recordings to Jessica Lee Hadley, and she says it's absolutely true and described them as disgusting. I'm 100% convinced that this story of the murder tapes is true, and I'm not surprised at all to hear that police hid them. It's been easy to see that a cover-up has been going on. Drug rehab counselor Christy Otts had told me that Brett Bushman confessed to the murder of Hailey Dunn, and she sent me a screenshot of an email that she had sent to her supervisors at Turning Point, which said that Brett had been involved in 3 homicides besides burying a child in a safe. I wondered if one of those other homicides was Cody Mercer. Okay. And so I took each one of the paragraphs and, I backed it up. The first one I'm going to show at the top, Brandi Dunn told me that she was the first person to tell me that the murder of Hailey was recorded. Okay. And remember, it wasn't just one person. Actually, she said at the top, she said that that Hailey was at Brooke Owensby's house. I just recently found this out. That's what she told me. And I said, so you know what happened to Hailey? And she says, I'll give it to you, but you put out a press release that some of the names had nothing to do with this. And she wanted me to post on my Facebook that Casey Frazee and Dustin Braddock were not there or something like that. And, but multiple other people have said they were there. Either way, that's what she said. It's taken a lot of digging and listening and people being around people I want to kill for it. But yes, I pretty much know it all. That's what Brandi told me. And I said, if you have information which refutes the multiple witnesses, then I'd be glad to share that. Okay. And then she says, there's a video of it. The cops have it. I said, there's a video of what? Hailey's murder? And she says, yes. It was with the video of Cody Mercer's murder. The cops have both. I'm going, wow, I mean, that's huge. But that's only one person, right? That's just one person saying it's recorded, And so what I did was take that next paragraph there where I, talking about Hailey Dunn, and it was just the statistics. She was reported missing December 2010. She's found in March 2013, 2 days after I wrote the Department of Justice, And there's a picture of her. She became nationally famous. All the major news networks, Nancy Grace, millions of people know who Hailey Dunn is, okay? And so, because she was a little 13-year-old Texas cheerleader, I'm now suspecting, I did a recent video, I'm suspecting that Billy and Hailey were at the underground oil show parties 2 months before she went missing, after I found out her mom was a stripper. And it just makes sense. All the strippers in the area were at the oil show parties. My next paragraph was about Cody Wayne Mercer being 31 years old. He was found dead, in November 2011. Okay, and so this is, less than a year than after Hailey had went missing, and here is his obituary, right here. And I don't know him, but Cody Wayne Mercer. His sister did contact me asking for information, and this is an unsolved murder in Odessa. Okay. Allison Frazier told me that Cody was killed because the gang members were worried he was going to snitch. Okay, and so that was the next paragraph. And I just Newswest 9 had done a story on that when that was going on, and when the autopsy reports come back, it showed he had died at methamphetamine intoxication. 32-year-old Cody Wayne Mercer. And then at the bottom, one reason I did that says, and he was wearing very little clothing, and it was more than one person that had told me Cody was raped by them guys that killed him. But I was told it was because of Hailey. Okay. I also think that Cody's girlfriend was that woman there that Brandi had mentioned earlier. What was the name of it? I was at the top, right here. It was Brooke Owensby, and so I think that was Cody was Brooke Owensby's girlfriend. Okay. I mentioned these recordings to Jessica Lee Hadley, and she said, it's absolutely true. Now, keep in mind, this is a whole nother person, okay, and described them as disgusting. I'm 100% convinced that this story of the murder tapes is true, and I'm not surprised at all to hear that police hid them. It's been easy to see that a cover-up's been going on. And so here's the messages that I was talking about with Jessica, what she told me, okay? And she's writing to me, and she says, about, I don't know, 15, maybe 8 years ago, there was a boy named Cody. He was abducted, tied up, beaten, savagely raped by 4 individuals. These individuals belonged to a certain gang in Odessa. So she said it was 4 people, and that is just one circumstance of the criminal activity that happens in Odessa. I'm not saying that your story is not credible or that you don't have proof. What I'm saying is that all these things have happened because of the criminal system being corrupt, the feds all the way down to the gangs that they use to act out their crimes. It is so corrupt and so strong that it's very hard to find anybody that will prosecute anything. I'm so glad to hear that you have proven that these people are going to get charged. That is great. I'm just saying that is one certain instance, and this happens all over in this area. Okay, she's talking about the corruption problem. And then I can't even explain to you the amount of fact of knowing that the ring of pedophiles that actually run and maintain Odessa and Texas. It's unbelievable they have a system they run if that they get people high to have them sell their children. There's so many people about that area that you have just scratched the surface on. It's sickening. And I finally wrote back and I said, it sounds like you're talking about Cody Mercer. And this woman named Brandi Dunn said that the same people who murdered Hailey also killed him. She also said that there was a video of it and the cops have it. So that's what I'm telling Jessica right there, because she's telling me, she told me earlier, there's a guy named Cody who was raped. And she says, yes, that's correct. They videotaped the whole thing. It is disgusting and it's absolutely true. Okay. I mean, how many people do you need to, tell me that, right? And then here on the last paragraph, drug rehab counselor Chris Yachts had told me that Brett Bushman confessed the murder of Hailey Dunn. She sent me a screenshot email that she'd sent her supervisors at Turning Point, which said that Brett had been involved in 3 homicides besides burying a child in a safe. I wondered if one of those other homicides was Cody Mercer. Okay, and that's that email right here. And here you can read just parts of it there. Since he did have a hand in stuffing a child's body in a safe, his confession in the involvement of 3 separate homicides. And this is Christy Ott Smith, and she's writing, who is it? Julie Elliott and Janie Tibbett. And Ramona Thomas, I guess, is who it is. And it's Christy Smith, resignation. So she was quitting her job over this. But then the other thing, considering his organizational affiliation and I've learned what that means. When you're affiliated, means that you're a gang member. And then that's what lots of people are saying, is gang member. And these other sections here, this is when Christy first contacted me on YouTube. She watched a video I posted and said she'd got the confession for Hailey Dunn's murder in 2015. Her life was turned upside down, etc., etc., etc. And then she sent me this detailed message on Facebook. And she was using a fake name on Facebook, Christy was. This is in 2016, and she wrote me, Christy wrote, she said, the guy, who was Brett Bushman, said she was traded by her mother for a drug balance of $135 worth of meth. While she was in the care of the dealer, she flipped out and they shot her up with something. She overdosed and died. The guy who confessed to me, he said he took her back to the mother. They stuffed her into a box. He described the way they had to bend her and break her to fit. Then they buried her on a ranch outside Odessa. I wondered if that ranch wasn't Jackie Thompson's ranch, you know. I wonder if Jackie Thompson, former Odessa police officer, doesn't know about the murder tapes, you know. And the other person I thought might know was Joe Commander. His name has been thrown up. He's a former law enforcement officer too. The whole reason I put this was in here is because it said 3 separate homicides, and then that's why I was suspecting that one of them homicides was Cody Mercer's. And so I thought y'all would find that interesting, the Hailey Dunn murder tapes. I suspect them tapes are long gone, but you know, legitimate law enforcement can follow these leads up, and then they should be able to quickly determine which police officers took them tapes and then start grilling them, you know. But you're going to have to, you got to find a police officer that's willing to investigate other police officers that were involved in crimes. That's all there is to it. This Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.